It's day 104 of reading through the scriptures. I just missed 2 months, so I'm trying to get back on track. So we're going to start in Leviticus chapter 14, and if I get it all done, there will be 3 other chapters as well. If not, there'll be an end screen to the next video in the series. One will be in the prophets, one will be in Psalms, and one will be in Acts. Anyway, Leviticus 14, and Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, "This shall be the Torah of the leper for the day of his cleansing. He shall be brought to the priest, and the priest shall go out of the camp, and the priest shall look and see. If the leprosy is healed in the leper, then the priest shall command, and he shall take for him who is to be cleansed 2 live and clean birds, and cedar wood, and scarlet, and hyssop. And the priest shall command, and he shall slay one of the birds in an earthen vessel over running water. Let him take the live bird and the cedar wood and the scarlet and the hyssop, and dip them and the live bird in the blood of the bird that was slain over the running water. And he shall sprinkle it 7 times on him who is cleansed from the leprosy, and shall pronounce him clean, and shall let the live bird loose in the open field. And he who is to be cleansed shall wash his garments, and shall shave off all his hair, and wash himself in water, and shall be clean. Then after that he comes into the camp, but shall stay outside his tent 7 days. And on the 7th day it shall be that he shaves all the hair off his head, and his beard, and his eyebrows, even all the hair he shaves off. And he shall wash his garments, and wash his body in water, and shall be clean. And on the 8th day he takes 2 more lambs, or 2 male lambs, perfect ones, and 1 ewe lamb, a year old, a perfect one, and 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering, and 1 log of oil. And the priest who is cleansing shall present the man who is to be cleansed with these offerings before Yahweh at the door of the tent of appointment. And the priest shall take 1 male lamb and bring it as a guilt offering, and the log of oil, and wave them as a wave offering before Yahweh. And he shall slay the lamb in the place where he slays the sin offering and the ascending offering in the set-apart place. For the guilt offering, like the sin offering, belongs to the priest. It is most set apart. And the priest shall take some of the blood of the guilt offering, and the priest shall put it on the tip of the right ear of him who is to be cleansed, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. And the priest shall take some of the log of oil, and pour it into the palm of his own left hand. And the priest shall dip the right finger in the oil that is in his left hand, and shall sprinkle some of the oil with his finger 7 times before Yahweh. And of the rest of the oil in his hand, the priest puts some on the tip of the right ear of him who is to be cleansed, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot, and on the blood of the guilt offering. And the rest of the oil that is in the priest's hand he puts on the head of him who is to be cleansed. And the priest shall make atonement for him before Yahweh. And the priest shall make the sin offering, and make atonement for him who is to be cleansed from his uncleanness. Then afterwards he slays the ascending offering, and the priest shall offer the ascending offering and the grain offering on the slaughter place. And the priest shall make atonement for him, and he shall be clean. But if he is poor and unable to afford a lamb but if he is poor and is unable to afford it, then he shall take 1 male lamb as a guilt offering to be waved, and make atonement for him, and 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering, and a log of oil, and 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, such as he is able to afford, and 1 shall be a sin offering, and the other an ascending offering. And he shall bring them to the priest on the 8th day for his cleansing, to the door of the tent of appointment before Yahweh. And the priest shall take the lamb of the guilt offering and the log of oil, and the priest shall wave them as a wave offering before Yahweh. And he shall slay the lamb of the guilt offering. The priest shall take some of the blood of the guilt offering, and put it on the tip of the right ear of him who is to be cleansed, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. Then the priest pours some of the oil into the palm of his own left hand. And the priest shall sprinkle with his right finger some of the oil that is in his left hand 7 times before Yahweh. And the priest shall put some of the oil that is in his hand on the tip of the right ear of him who is to be cleansed, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot, and on the place of the blood of the guilt offering. And the rest of the oil that is in the priest's hand he puts on the head of him who is to be cleansed, to make atonement for him before Yahweh. And he shall prepare one of the turtle doves or young pigeons, such as he is able to afford, that which he is able to afford, the one as a sin offering and the other as an ascending offering, with the grain offering. And the priest shall make atonement for him who is to be cleansed before Yahweh. This is the Torah for one who had an infection of leprosy, who is unable to afford for his cleansing. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe and to Aharon, saying, when you come into the land of Canaan, which I am giving you as a possession, and I put a plague of leprosy in a house in the land of your possession, then shall the one who owns the house come and inform the priest, saying, it seems to me that there is some plague in the house. And the priest shall command, and they shall empty the house before the priest goes in to look at the plague, so that all that is in the house is not made unclean. And after that the priest goes in to look at the house, and he should look at the plague and see if the plague is on the walls of the house with sunken places, greenish or reddish, reddish, which appear to be deep in the wall. And then the priest shall go out of the house to the door of the house and shut up the house 7 days. And the priest shall come again on the seventh day and look and see if the plague has spread on the walls of the house. Then the priest shall command, and they shall remove the stones with the plague in them, and they shall throw them outside the city into an unclean place, while he lets the house be scraped inside all around, and the dust that they scrape off they shall pour out in an unclean place outside the city. And they shall take other stones and put them in the place of those stones, and take other mortar and plaster the house. And if the plague comes back and breaks out in the house, after he has removed the stones, after he has scraped the house, and after it is plastered, then the priest shall come and look at it and see if the plague has spread in the house, it is an active leprosy in the house, it is unclean. And he shall break down the house, its stones and its timber, and all the plaster of the house, and he shall bring them outside the city to an unclean place. And he who goes into the house all the days while it is shut up becomes unclean until evening. And he who lies down in the house has to wash his garments, and he who eats in the house has to wash his garments. However, if the priest indeed comes in and looks at it and sees that the plague is not spread in the house after the house was plastered, then the priest shall pronounce the house clean, because the plague is healed. And to cleanse the house he shall take 2 birds, and cedar wood, and scarlet, and hyssop, and he shall slay one of the birds in an earthen vessel over running water. And he shall take the cedar wood, and the hyssop, and the scarlet, and the live bird, and dip them in the blood of the slain bird, and in the running water, and shall sprinkle the house 7 times. He shall thus cleanse the house with the blood of the bird, and with the running water, and the live bird, and with the cedar wood, and with the hyssop, and with the scarlet. And he shall let the live bird loose outside the city in an open field, and shall make atonement for the house, and it shall be clean. This is the Torah for any infection of leprosy and eruption, and for leprosy of a garment, and of a house, and for a swelling, and for a scab, and for a bright spot, to teach when it is unclean and when it is clean. This is the Torah of leprosy. Jeremiah chapter 38. And Shephatiah son of Matan, and Gedaliah son of Pashur, and Ukal son of Shelemiyahu, and Pashur son of Malchiah, heard the words which Jeremiah had spoken to all the people, saying, Thus said Yahweh, he who remains in this city shall die by the sword, but by scarcity of food, and by pestilence. But whoever goes over to the Kasdim shall live, and his life shall be as a prize to him, and he shall live. Thus said Yahweh, the city is certainly given into the hand of the sovereign of Babel's army, and he shall take it. Then the heads said to the sovereign, Please let this man be put to death, because he is weakening the hands of the men of battle who are left in the city, and the hands of all the people, by speaking such words to them. For this man does not seek the peace of this people, but the evil. And Zedekiah, the sovereign, said, Look, he is in your hand, for the sovereign is unable to do any matter against you. And they took Jeremiah and threw him into the dungeon of Malchiah, the sovereign's son, which was in the court of the guard, and they let Jeremiah down with ropes. But in the dungeon there was no water, but mud, so Jeremiah sank in the mud. And Ebed-Melech the Cushite one of the eunuchs who was in the sovereign's house heard that they had put Yirmiyahu in the dungeon, and the sovereign was sitting at the gate of Benjamin. And Ebed-Melech came from the sovereign's house and spoke to the sovereign, saying, My master the sovereign, these men have done evil in all that they have done to Yirmiyahu the prophet, whom they have thrown into the dungeon, where he is likely to die from hunger in the place where he is, for there is no more bread in the city. And the sovereign commanded Ebed-Melech the Cushite, saying, Take 30 men from here with you, and lift Yirmiyahu the prophet out of the dungeon before he dies. So Ebed-Melech took the men with him, and went into the house of the sovereign under the treasury, and took old clothes and old rags from there, and let them down by ropes into the dungeon to Yirmiyahu. And Ebed-Melech the Cushite said to Yirmiyahu, Please put these old clothes and rags under your armpits, under the ropes. And Yirmiyahu did so. And they pulled Yirmiyahu up with the ropes, and lifted him out of the dungeon. And Yirmiyahu remained in the court of the guard. Then Sedkiyahu the sovereign sent and had Yirmiyahu the prophet brought to him at the third entrance of the house of Yahweh. And the sovereign said to Yirmiyahu, I am asking you a matter. Do not hide a matter from me. And Yirmiyahu said to Sedkiyahu, If I declare it to you, shall you not put me to death? And if I give you advice, you shall not listen to me. But Sedkiyahu the sovereign swore secretly to Yirmiyahu, saying, As Yahweh lives, who made us this life, I do not put you to death, nor do I give you into the hand of these men who seek your life. And Yirmiyahu said to Sedkiyahu, Thus said Yahweh, the Elohim of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, If you do indeed surrender to the heads of the sovereign of Babel, then your being shall live, and this city shall not be burned with fire, and you and your house shall live. But if you do not surrender to the heads of the sovereign of Babel, then this city shall be given into the hand of the Kasdim, and they shall burn it with fire, and you shall not escape from their hand. Then Sedkiyahu the sovereign said to Yirmiyahu, I am afraid of the Yehudim who have gone over to the Kasdim, lest they give me into their hand, and they maltreat me. But Yirmiyahu said, They shall not hand you over. Please obey the voice of Yahweh, which I speak to you, and let it be well with you, and your life be spared. But if you refuse to surrender, this is the word that Yahweh has shown me. Then see, all of the women who are left in the sovereign of Yehuda's house shall be surrendered to the heads of the sovereign of Babel. And see, they are saying, Your close friends have set upon you and prevailed against you. Your feet have sunk in the mire. They have turned away again. And they are going to surrender all your wives and children to the Kasdim, and you yourself shall not escape from their hand, but be taken by the hand of the sovereign of Babel, and this city shall be burned with fire. Then Sedkiyahu said to Yirmiyahu, Let no one know of these words, and you shall not die. But if the heads hear that I have spoken with you, and they come to you and say to you, Declare to us now what you have said to the sovereign, and also what the sovereign said to you, do not hide it from us, and we do not put you to death. Then you shall say to them, I presented my petition before the sovereign, not to send me back to the house of Jonathan to die there. And all the heads came to Yirmiyahu and asked him, and he informed them according to all these words that the sovereign had commanded. And they said no more to him, for the matter was not heard. So Yirmiyahu remained in the court of the guard until the day that Jerusalem was taken, and he was there when Jerusalem was taken. Being a prophet of Yahweh is a rough life if you haven't been paying attention to Jeremiah's book here over the last 38 chapters. Our next chapter is Psalm 104. Bless Yahweh, O my being, O Yahweh, my Elohim. You have been very great. You have put on excellency and splendor, covering yourself with light as with a garment, stretching out the heavens like a curtain. Who is laying the beams of his upper room in the waters? Who is making thick clouds his chariot? Who is walking on the wings of the wind, making his messengers the winds, his servants a flame of fire? He established the earth on its foundations so that it would not totter forever. You covered it with the deep as with a garment. The waters stood above the mountains. At your rebuke they flee. At the voice of your thunder they hurry away. They go up the mountains. They go down the valleys to the place which you founded for them. You did set up boundary. They do not pass over. They do not return to cover the earth. Who is sending the springs into the valleys? They flow among the hills. They give drink to every beast of the field. Wild donkeys break their thirst. The birds of the heavens dwell beside them. They sing from between the branches. Watering the hills from his upper rooms, the earth is satisfied with the fruit of your works, causing the grass to grow for the cattle, and plants for the service of mankind, to bring forth food from the earth, and wine that makes glad the heart of man, oil to make the face shine, and bread which sustains man's heart. The trees of Yahweh are satisfied, the cedars of Lebanon which he planted. Where the birds do make nests, the stork has her home in the fir trees. The high hills are for wild goats, rocks a refuge for rock badgers. He made the moon for appointed times. The sun knows it's going down. You put darkness, and it is night, and in it all the beasts of the forest creep. The young lions are roaring for prey and seeking their food from hell. The sun arises, they withdraw and lie down in their dens. Man goes out to his work and to his labor till evening. O Yahweh, how many have been your works? You have made all of them in wisdom. The earth is filled with your possessions. There is a sea, great and wide, in which are innumerable swarms, living creatures, small and great, that there do ships go. That Leviathan which you made to play there, all of them wait for you, to give their food in due season. You give to them, they gather in. You open your hand, they are satisfied with good. You hide your face, they are alarmed. You take away their breath, they die and return to their dust. You send forth your spirit, they are created, and you renew the face of the earth. The esteem of Yahweh is forever. Yahweh rejoices in his works. Who looks on the earth, and it trembles. He touches the mountains, and they smoke. I sing to Yahweh as long as I live. I sing praise to my Elohim while I exist. My meditation on him is sweet. I rejoice in Yahweh. Let sinners be consumed from the earth, and let the wrong be no more. Bless Yahweh, O my being. Praise Yah. Acts chapter 15. And certain men came down from Yehuda and were teaching the brothers, unless you are circumcised according to the practice of Moshe, you are unable to be saved. So when Shaul and Barnabas had no small dissension and dispute with them, they arranged for Shaul and Barnabas and certain others of them to go up to Jerusalem to the emissaries and elders about this question. So being sent on their way by the assembly, they passed through Phoenicia and Shamaron, relating the conversion of the nations, and they were causing great joy to all the brothers. And having arrived at Jerusalem, they were received by the assembly and the emissaries and the elders, and they reported all that Elohim had done with them. And some of the believers who belonged to the sect of the Pharisees rose up, saying, It is necessary to circumcise them and to command them to keep the Torah of Moshe. And the emissaries and elders came together to look into this matter. And when there had been much dispute, Kepha rose up and said to them, Men, brothers, you know that a good while ago Elohim chose among us, and that by my mouth the nations should hear the word of the good news and believe. And Elohim, who knows the heart, bore witness to them by giving them the set-apart spirit, as also to us, and made no distinction between us and them, cleansing their hearts by belief. Now then, why do you try Elohim by putting a yoke on the neck of the taught ones, which neither our fathers nor we were able to bear? But through the favor of the Master Yeshua Messiah, we trust to be saved in the same way as they. And all the crowd was silent and were listening to Barnabas and Shaul, declaring how many miracles and wonders Elohim did among the nations through them. And after they were silent, Yaakov answered, saying, Men, brothers, listen to me. Shimon has declared how Elohim first visited the nations to take them out of them a people for his name. And the words of the prophets agree with this, as it has been written, After this I shall return and rebuild the booth of David, which is fallen down, and I shall rebuild its ruins, and I shall set it up, so that the remnant of mankind shall seek Yahweh, even all the nations on whom my name has been called, says Yahweh, who is doing all this, who has made this known from of old. That's Amos 9, 11, and 12. Therefore I judge that we should not trouble those from among the nations who are turning to Elohim, but that we write to them to abstain from the defilements of idols, and from whoring, and from what is strangled, and from blood. For from ancient generations Moshe has in every city those proclaiming him, being read in the congregations every Sabbath. So most of the time I'm going to preach for a couple moments Most of the time we read this, and the Christians just want you to read verse 20 and skip verse 21. They don't want to talk about, for from ancient generations Moshe has in every city those proclaiming him, being read in the congregations every Sabbath. So my interpretation is this whole thing, there's these 4 basic requirements: abstain from the defilements of idols, and from whoring, and from what is strangled, and from blood. And then learn by listening to the readings of Moshe every week, and then you'll learn the rest as the Heavenly Father lays it on your heart. If you choose to skip listening to Moshe every Sabbath, then I don't know how you're ever going to learn the truth of what our Messiah was teaching, what the whole Bible is about. And so the people who try to say that Moshe is done away with, that is, the Torah is done away with, I don't see how you get that if you actually read both of these verses. Anyway, back to reading verse 22. Then it seemed good to the emissaries and elders with all the assembly to send chosen men from among them to Antioch with Shaul and Barnabas, Yehuda being called Barsabba, and Silas, leading men among the brothers, having written to their hand this: the emissaries and the elders and the brothers, to the brothers who are of the nations in Antioch and Syria and Cilicia, greetings. Since we have heard that some who went out from us have troubled you with words, unsettling your lives, to whom we gave no command, it seemed good to us, having become of one mind, to send chosen men to you with our beloved Barnabas and Shaul, men who have given up their lives for the name of the Master Yeshua Messiah. We have therefore sent Yehuda and Silas, who are also confirming this by word of mouth. For it seemed good to the set-apart Spirit and to us to lay upon you no greater burden than these necessities: that you abstain from what is offered to idols, and blood, and what is strangled, and whoring. If you keep yourselves from these, you shall do well. Be strong. They therefore, being sent off, went to Antioch, and having gathered the crowd together, they delivered the letter, and having read it, they rejoiced over its encouragement. And Yehuda and Silas, being themselves also prophets, encouraged the brothers with many words and strengthened them. And having spent some time, they were sent back in peace from the brothers to the emissaries. But it seemed good to Silas to remain. And Shaul and Barnabas continued in Antioch, teaching and bringing with many others also the good news, the word of Yahweh. And after some days, Shaul said to Barnabas, let us now go back and visit our brothers in every city where we proclaim the word of Yahweh, and see how they are. And Barnabas purposed to take with them Yochanan, called Marcos, possibly the guy who wrote the book Mark. I don't know, tell me in the comments. But Shaul thought it not fit to take with them the one who withdrew from them in Pamphylia, and had not gone with them to the work. A sharp feeling therefore came to be, so that they parted from one another. And so Barnabas took Marcos and sailed to Cyprus, and Shaul chose Silas and went off, being committed by the brothers to the favor of Elohim. And he went through Syria and Cilicia, strengthening the assemblies. And chapter 16 is for our next reading.